I'm Gary C. Johnson. You've seen these billboards and ads that say size matters. I agree. The size that matters is the size of the results the law firm gets for their clients. We have several multi-million-dollar verdicts here in Kentucky. In fact, our firm owns the record for the single largest personal injury verdict in the state of Kentucky. That's the size that matters to you. In Kentucky, give our firm the call.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law of Life provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law of Life with Gary C. Johnson and Keith Casebolt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into the radio program, Simply the Law of Life. I'm Keith Casebolt. My dear friend is here, Gary C. Johnson. Listen, I'm so happy to see you because I made a mistake over the weekend of watching the news.
You're kidding.
No, and all the bad things that's going on. There's no baby formula. There's a war over in Ukraine. There was some shootings going on, and all of a sudden I got pulled into that old thing about everything is bad, and I said I can't wait to be with my friend to hear the news that not everything is bad.
Well, did you start worrying about any of it?
I did worry about it. Of course I did.
Then what did you do to change it?
Well, after I worried about it a long, long time, I went back to Johnson Rule number 1, and I moved on. Because there was nothing.
There's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing I
No
can do
sense in
about
even
it.
paying any attention to it.
But, Gary, it's so amazing, the people that are getting caught up in it, and they're saying everything in the world is bad. And I went back to when we talked about the good people you encountered in Lexington. There's a lot of good. We just don't hear about it.
Well, folks, you got food on your table. You got a bathroom that's not an outhouse.
Yeah.
You got a bed to sleep in. More likely than not, those of you that are listening to this have a car. And you're thinking about, well, what am I going to be able to get to eat after a while? And where am I going to eat? And all of those things, and you're saying, oh, the world is just terrible. It ain't terrible, folks. It is wonderful.
And you're probably texting on your cell phone, keeping in touch with your friends, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it is wonderful. Trust me. Now, will it change? If it does, we'll worry about it then.
That's all
We'll
we can
even
do.
think about it then. But until it changes, my friends, enjoy the heck out of this life. It is wonderful.
Yeah, I had a good time. I had to go to the doctor's appointment, in which I was encouraged to lose some weight. And I said, well, that just tops it off. After all these things that's been negative that I've been worried about, and now you're going to ask me to lose weight, I said, I'm going to have to go talk to my friend Gary and get over this.
Well, let's see. Yeah, you might want to lose a couple of pounds, Keith, just in case.
I don't think
But
it would
I
hurt.
wouldn't go overboard.
Oh, don't trust me. Trust me. I will not push myself to the limit. No, I'll make sure.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about your children.
Most precious thing that we all have.
Because I got in a conversation the other day with this fellow, and he was talking about his children and how they weren't necessarily following the career path that he had set for them, and they weren't interested in the things that he had built, and on and on and on, and they just were different than him. And he was so disappointed in that because that's the way it was turning out for him. And I sat there and I tried to explain to him that those children they're not him.
They're different individuals.
They're different human beings, just like you are different than your parents. So then I went back to this little old book by Khalil Gibran it's called The Prophet, to see what he had to say about children, because he was a pretty smart guy. This guy was a Christian Lebanese. He wrote this book in the 30s. It's a little old bitty book. Let me read you what he had to say about children. He starts off, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. Right?
Interesting take on that, isn't it?
They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but you cannot give them your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams.
I like that. I like that.
You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life does not go backwards, nor tarries with yesterday. You are yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as the living arrows are set forth. The archer sees a mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hands be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. Now think about that. Now, is that profound where your children are concerned?
Is it profound? I mean, deeply profound.
And I'm going to read this one sentence again. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. And that's where parents make the mistake.
You know, and that probably...
That's where the grief and the anguish and the feeling bad about your children comes from, is when you try to make your children, as he said, like you.
Yeah. And while I'm listening to you, I'm sitting here thinking, I have two boys, and both of them have skills that I don't have. They're musicians. They can play. They're artists. They can draw. They do things, Gary, that I only could wish I could do. They're completely different from me in that set of things.
Right. They're not you.
They're not me. And the line that you said, that you could wish to be them, I get that. I wish I had some
But
of the...
don't try to make them you.
Yeah, I wish I had some of the ability that they have, that I could be more like them.
So, folks, if some of you are whining and crying because your children aren't doing it the way you want it done, they're doing it the way it's supposed to be done. Not like you did it. You're yesterday. I'm yesterday. Keith's yesterday. The children are the future.
Yes. How many times on this radio program have you said, Keith, I'm so excited about the future because these young people will figure it out?
Went to a funeral the other day, and it made me realize, in talking to the family, how important it is that we understand grief and sorrow. So I'll go back to my book again.
Yeah.
And I want to read to you folks a little bit about grief and sorrow and how they are intertwined with each other. And this is what he says. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nah, sorrow is a greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. And what he's saying there is that when you're weeping and feeling so terrible with the grief you have from the love of your lost one, that what you're feeling is exactly equal to the joy that you had from having that person in your life. And the deeper you feel that sorrow, the more joy you had. So, and he goes on to say, rejoice in your sorrow.
Yeah, so we actually do the wrong thing. We try to suppress the grief. And this author is saying, embrace the grief.
Right.
Because
and understand why you're having it.
You're grieving because this person meant so much to you in your life.
The joy.
The joy that they brought you.
So, folks, if any of you are in that situation now, like some of the folks were at the funeral that I attended, remember, the grief you're feeling, the loss, the horror of those terrible feelings that just make you want to sit down, you can't even stand up, are directly equal to the joy that you had from having that person in your life.
And Gary, go a little bit deeper for that, if you would. The fact that you attended a funeral where people were grieving, what did that say about the individual that was lost?
He was a great guy, and that's what everybody kept saying. What a wonderful man he was.
Made a difference.
Yeah.
He enhanced the lives of others, and people were better for knowing him.
And again, I'm going to say it to my friends out there that may be grieving, and I'm pretty sure that some of you are, because actually I was walking by my bookshelf and I looked over and I saw this book. And generally there's a reason. Because I was on my way to do this program, and
I was talking with an individual over the weekend that I met at the store, and he was talking about his friend that had started kindergarten with him and had lost this individual who was the same age, and talking about the grief of knowing someone your entire life and considering them a friend, and then to lose them, and what a tragedy it was. Just like you were saying on the book, I mean, this person made a difference.
We only have a small dash.
Yeah.
And trust me when I tell you, my friends, the grief that you may be feeling now, it will heal. And the question is how do you deal with it right now? And the point I'm trying to make to you, and this author makes, is understand your grief and appreciate it.
You know, I kind of grew up with my grandmother, so I had a really close relationship with her. I lost her almost 30 years ago, and I was a young man at the time. And I can remember standing there crying, and a gentleman walked by, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Son, it'll be all right." And then he walked off, and he got about 4 steps away, and he turned around, and he came back, and he said, "I'm sorry, I lied to you. It'll never be okay."
Mm-hmm.
And I have never forgotten that, even though it was almost 30 years ago. When somebody means that much to you,
the deep pain will go away.
But you still have those memories.
That's right.
Of the good times and everything that was meant to you.
And the mentoring, all of those things that matter in life.
Mentoring, that's something else. Isn't it amazing that you can be in a conversation and all of a sudden there in your mind will pop out an old saying or something that the mentor has told you, that it comes right out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm. It is amazing. Now, I think somebody may have just tuned into the program. Okay. I suspect they did, because something made me pick his book up again. And I'm going to read to you again about your children, because this is important to understand if you're going to have any sense of contentment in your life, okay? Number 1, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday.
I like the line most of all out of that. You may seek to be like them, but do not ask them to be like you.
Because it will not work, and you will be miserable, and you will make them miserable, and you may actually ruin their lives by trying to make them be what you want them to be. You cannot live your life through your children, whether it's in the sports or whatever.
Business, doesn't matter.
And it is a mistake we make because we want to.
Why don't they see it the way I do? Why don't they understand? How come they don't look at things this way?
Or, you get far more upset when they maybe lose a game that they're in than they do.
Oh, my goodness. And listen, for everyone that's listening to this about the kids, the greatest advice that you ever gave me, we were in the vehicle taking a trip, and I was complaining about something my oldest son had done. And you looked over and smiled and said, whenever he's done something that you haven't done, I want you to get real mad about it. And I said, Gary, my son, he'll never do 1/10 of the dumb things I've done. And you said, well, then shut up and don't get mad at him. And you were right. You know, how dare me to criticize a young man who's never made the mistakes I've made? And I was doing it.
But that was your first instinct. That it is.
Oh, it was that unsolicited advice, you know, trying to help while you're criticizing all the things that, you know, we talk about on this program.
You been doing any unsolicited advice lately?
I know, but I've been getting a lot. Listen, most people don't know when Gary and I do the radio program, we just come in and we've got thoughts. Your thoughts, you know, you and I haven't even talked about this show. I printed off something about can you be successful and happy at the same time? And what you talked about with your children, the first thing on this, the first rule is understand what it means to be happy, and you have to be happy with yourself. This author says happiness is about understanding who you are.
Amen.
Not who everyone else is.
That's right.
So you just read this about the children. You are being comfortable with yourself and making your daily choices that you need to do to make yourself feel good and your being. No one but you can make you happy, and you just address this with the children.
How many times have we said that on the program? You are the only person alive that can make you happy. You cannot possibly make anyone else happy. Don't even try.
No.
It's an exercise in futility.
And the worst part is when you do try and you find out it didn't work.
It never works. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to make you happy. Your responsibility is to be comfortable with the fact that the good Lord made you exactly the way he wanted you to be.
Mm-hmm.
No more, no less. And be comfortable with that.
So now why do we do that when it comes to the children? Why you talk about everybody being unique, being a one of a kind, but yet the tendency is with our children, we want to say he's a chip off the old block, or she's just like me, or they're going to be just like their mother and their father. We're breaking the rule.
The question I want you folks to ask yourself is, when you're trying to mold your children into what you want them to be, remember, did it work when your parents tried it with you?
No. I can answer that.
Right. It doesn't. So why would we think it's going to work when we try to do it? It's an insanity. You've got to understand your child is the future. Your child is not you. The last thing in the world you want your child to do is to be like you. You want them to be more than you.
Because we're going to play it safe. We're not going to go out and risk or take a chance, or we know the fears and the pitfalls. We know all the things. What'd you say about the attorney one time? That there was a brilliant attorney that couldn't do anything because he knew all the reasons why it wouldn't work.
He couldn't do anything because he knew all the reasons why he couldn't do anything, because he was so smart.
He outsmarted himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to our children, we want to outsmart them and say, oh, don't go into this career or don't try to do this because here's all the reasons why it will fail.
When in the end, what you should say to your children is, find what you like to do. I'll help you if you want me to figure out a way to make it how you make your living. I'll pay for your education or whatever. But do what you want to do, and don't worry about the amount of money you're going to make. You may make all kinds of money in what you're doing. That's fine. Or you may make enough just to live on. That's fine. But make it something that you want to do.
I love what you just said, because you know what the author's second tip is to happiness and success? You're going to like this. It is, be sure that you're going after your vision, not someone else's vision. The author says to achieve success and be happy, you need to make sure that you are clear about what it is that you want to do, what you truly want to do, and then you will be happy.
And that's the key. Be happy. You're absolutely 100% successful if you're happy, and it doesn't make any difference how much money you've got.
You and I think we both knew this individual, but the individual was a doctor and decided to stop being a doctor and opened a landscaping business and told everyone, I have never been happier in my life.
That's right.
The calling was landscaping.
It wasn't doctor.
Even though it paid maybe 1/10 of what this individual was being paid as a doctor, he enjoyed the landscaping.
So that's the point I guess we're making. But then going back to your children, remember, you can never be your children, and please don't make your children or try to make them be like you.
That is a great point. And on my little list that I printed off, there was a third key to happiness and success. And it's real simple. Have you ever heard the old saying, work hard and play hard? This author says success will only happen when you're happy about it and you're able to let go and enjoy life around you. Gary, that's a big mistake that a lot of us make. We get so tied up in the business and the work and we have to do this, we forget about playtime.
Well, we've talked on the program before about learning to be where you are in the now. Learn to be where you are at the time. Practice being where you are at the time. If you can get to the point to where you can be where you are and not somewhere else in your mind, there's an unbelievable calmness that will come over you. And you will start feeling calm in any situation you're in. Anxiety will go away.
You know,
There will be no anxiety if you can learn to just be where you are at the time.
the greatest lesson you taught me on that is if you are present, a one-day vacation can be more enjoyable than a 7-day vacation if you're not present.
10 times more.
Because you're so distracted, you didn't enjoy the time that you were doing.
So, folks, at least one of you try that. And notice how calm you become.
You know, that's what I like about this program, is that if one person goes home tonight and hugs their kid and says, you know, I was listening to this Gary C. Johnson on the radio, and he pointed out to me that you're a unique individual and that I should absolutely cherish the direction you're going in and support you, and they come together because of what you've said, that's a pretty doggone good day.
And if just one of you can practice and learn how to be where you are, wherever you are at the time, be there.
Hey, and let's say thanks to the one individual that tuned into this program and listened to the whole program, because they were there.
That's right.
They didn't turn the channel. They didn't change us. They may have agreed or disagreed, but they were engaged the whole time in the program.
Well, good friends.
Hey,
My friends are going to be happy, buddy.
and successful.
Oh, yes.
Happy and successful. That's what we're looking for this year. See, I'm so glad you came in. Now, all those bad things I talked to you at the beginning of this program on the news, I realize now there's nothing I can do about those, but boy, you sure did give us a lot that we could do about our children, our friends,
Our sorrow.
our
And
sorrow.
our joy.
Yeah. And you know, let's don't wait till someone is gone. Let's go ahead and tell them about the appreciation and love that we have for them now
Amen.
and get that over with. Hey, you can get in touch with Gary. That's Gary at GaryCJohnson.com. And as always, you can catch our radio program right here on your favorite station each and every week at this same time. Gary, I always enjoy having this conversation because you feel better after it's over. And as you've told me, it feels good to feel good.
Amen. Own that.
On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Thank you so much for taking this time to tune in with us. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.
Thank you for listening to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
I'm Gary C. Johnson. You've seen these billboards and ads that say size matters. I agree. The size that matters is the size of the results the law firm gets for their clients. We have several multi-million-dollar verdicts here in Kentucky. In fact, our firm owns the record for the single largest personal injury verdict in the state of Kentucky. That's the size that matters to you. In Kentucky, give our firm the call.
Hi, I'm Keith Casebold. Today I want to talk to you about Creative Media of Kentucky. You know, marketing can really be a tough thing. In fact, think about it. What do you say? How do you get the message out? And then, who do you buy? How do you buy? There's so many different choices. There's broadcast, cable, billboard, print, radio, digital, social media. How do you get through it all? That's where we come in. First of all, we help you save time because we've placed millions of dollars in Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, and Tennessee. So we navigate the process, we find out which media is right for your company, the demographic that you're trying to hit, and we get you the results by saving you that time. Let's talk about the production. This is another area that we're going to be able to help you at Creative Media. We shoot in 4K technology. I'll put our guys up when it comes to editing, producing, writing, and doing the commercials with anyone in the country. But we can save you money and give you a product that will deliver your message and get your results. Whether it's an in-house studio shoot here at our Lexington office, or if you need us to come out on location, we can produce the commercial and the video that you'll be proud of at a price you'll really like. At Creative Media, we offer other services. In this world of digital, our guys can check your website. They can even do an audit to make sure that you're doing all the right things you need to do. How do you navigate that? We can help because all of that has to come together in order to make sure that you reach all of your potential customers. We also handle live events. If you need staging, lighting, sound, whether it's an outdoor concert, no matter the size of the event, we can handle it. We're also a distributor for equipment. So should your business or your church need new equipment, sound equipment, lighting, cameras, we can help from that end also. Creative Media is a full-service agency right here, Executive Drive in Lexington, Kentucky. We can help you navigate the waters of marketing your company. We can save you time, save you money, and get you the results. So no matter what the project is, how about you give us a call or reach out to us at Creative Media of Kentucky. We can't wait to get started with you.